Anyway, so one of the first things, paper making, I start with cotton linter, and you buy this at Daniel Smith. And a lot of people go, oh, well, why don't you reuse or recycle the mail that comes in? Well, that's already been processed and made, so it's short fibers. And what you want is long fibers, and that gives it strength. So you cut it into 1-inch squares, and then, believe it or not, it only takes 5 of them in a blender of about that much water, which is about 5 cups. And it only takes a short burst, and then you got, if there's too many lumps in there, then you're going to do it again. So normally, if I'm teaching a class, I drain it all off, and then, bring the pulp to class. That way you can freeze it. I am going to set a little bit aside, and anything that you use, like I should never use this blender for smoothies, but I don't use harsh chemicals in that. So this is what you can do with the cotton linter, and then you can freeze it like that, and in case you don't want to make the paper all at once. And the other thing that I do with this before I toss it into the vat is I make a lot of faces. I use them in my collages, and so these are those Filmo molds that you can buy in Michael's and so forth. And then here's a bunch of the little finished faces. And basically all you do is take the cotton linter and press it in, squeeze out all the excess water, and then just let it dry in there a little bit. And then of course this is such a flexible mold, they just pop right out. And then you just let them dry. So you always make sure you give it a stir before you go to pull your paper. And you just lift up like that. And if you don't like it, one of my most favorite terms is you just kiss it off and then start again. So that's not too bad. And technically, for couching, which is removing your paper from the screen, they tell you to mound up all this stuff and do this and that, but I don't do that. I just do that, and it's off the screen. Felts work best as far as removing the paper later on. Of course, you can embed everything. I could mix this with one of the long tea leaves, but you should never use hot water with any of the process because it's not good for the linter. So then one of the other processes that I learned to do was the sumi nagashi, which is a type of paper marbling that the Japanese do. Basically all you do is put your ink on the surface. Sometimes it sinks a little. So this is coming out a little bit. I don't know if it'll show. I'll pull a sheet, maybe that'll make a difference. Sometimes they even will fan it, So the trick is because the paper is so easy to fall apart, is you always fold one edge. Yeah, picked it up just a little bit. And as far as taking your paper off of your felt, this is why it's so much better to use little pieces of felt. You just give it a little diagonal pull and your paper comes right off. So this is one of the pieces I have that has just a piece of string embedded in it. This one here I pressed design on. I don't know if you can barely pick it up. So to really emboss something, you really have to have a thick layer of paper. So a lot of times I tell people pull 2 or 3 sheets and put them on top of each other to make sure you get it thick enough. And then one of the other things, since I paint a lot of sumi, is reusing the paper. Sometimes if you have words on your pieces of plastic, it actually will show up on there. So some people really water down their acrylic paints. I just sort of, prior to doing this, I just sort of squish it all on. And then I just really thin it out and move it all around. Some people use ink, some people use, I don't know, anything that they have watercolors to do the paper. So then all you do. I mean, this is so simple. All you're doing is trying to restain your paper. And what's fun is you already see all these wonderful patterns from the plastic, and that's why I don't like using newer plastic bags. I like recycling them because that will leave a pattern on there. And then sometimes I'll just brush water on the top or a little more color. You can spatter paint on these. You can do anything you want. So here's my spatter. Bought this at one of the craft stores. And if you were wanting to make your own, all you need is a cork and a nail and a brush. So that's parts of the process to ending up with having a collage.